Welcome back to my new channel, new sketchbook series, where I fill this sketchbook with your suggestions. I believe we're on page 5 of the series, and I have to say that y'all really tested me this week. Not in a bad way, necessarily, but I did struggle. This week I changed things a little bit, so rather than just doing one sketchbook spread, I'm doing 4. Let me double check. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I did 4 sketchbook spreads this week. So get comfortable, grab yourself something to drink, something to snack on. Let's just dive into it and let's get sketching. All right, and almost immediately I got a little bit too experimental for my own good. One of the suggestions I got from Cat Fanatic 1977 was just birds. So I was in the shower ruminating on what I was going to do with that idea, and I thought, how fun would it be to try to do some kind of inkblot test where I just put down pools of water and let the watercolor flow into it, and then take those abstract shapes and try to turn them into birds. Now, is that something I've ever done before? No, but I saw someone on Instagram do it and I thought it turned out beautifully, and they made it look easy, so it must be easy, right? Unfortunately, this was not the aesthetic fantasy that I thought it was gonna be. My watercolor just did not want to flow like that, but it's probably user error. If you're very experienced with watercolor and know how to make it do magic things, let me know in the comments, because I want to get better at it, but it's definitely outside of my realm of expertise. And as these dry, what are you seeing in the ink blots? I'm starting to ink these, and I'm trying to respond to the natural ways that the pigment settled into the water and turn these into birds. This first one I feel like was kind of giving Pidgeotto to me, or Pidgeot. I get them confused, but I was actually pretty happy with this first one. Now, the second bird is another story, and this is where I started to feel like I lost the plot a little bit. I was trying to go for like a long-necked swan type of bird, but it ended up just kind of looking like Timu Moltres. I don't know why all these are looking like Pokemon to me, but I'm gonna do a quick bird time lapse and I'll check in when they're finished inking. Wow, so many birds. Some cute, some interesting. But if you've seen my previous videos, you know how adamant I am about trying to unify my drawings. So I'm adding this kind of teal aquamarine background to make them all feel like they exist in the same composition. And there is this one tiny bird in the bottom corner that I really love, so I tried to imagine as if this little baby bird dreaming up what it might someday become. I just thought that was really cute. And with that, I do think I've taken care of the bird suggestion, although quick little spoiler, I am going to revisit it later in this video because I wasn't quite happy with how I executed this idea. So stick around because you are not going to want to miss that. Oh my gosh, I have a message from my sponsor today. Wait, what is that she's saying? She's saying that this is meant to be a collaborative series. Wow, that is such an interesting thing to say, and I have to say, so very brave as well. But yes, this is meant to be a very collaborative series, so if you want to see me draw one of your ideas, leave it in the comments. I will do my best to incorporate it into my next video in the series. But with that, let's get back to the video. Okay, it is 8 a.m. I just woke up and had my first sip of coffee, so I thought it's the perfect time to film something. It's been about a week since I've touched the sketchbook and did these bird drawings. They're so silly. I'm gonna try to tackle the suggestion I received that wanted, I think it was a Capricorn and Pisces or Cancer lover, I'll have to check, in the style of Gustav Klimt, with gold leaf and collage elements. So I'm kind of nervous about that one. I have no idea how that's gonna go, but that's where I am. I'm about to dive into that. Okay, so right off the bat here, I'm trying to imagine what does gold leaf make me think of and what does astrology have to do with that. And the first thing that comes to mind for me is this sort of spiritual through line between gold leaf as a material and astrology as a subject matter. So I'm kind of imagining a Byzantine era diptych, which, in case you don't know, a diptych just refers to a piece of art that is split into two panels that together form the complete composition. So think two paintings side by side. Neither of them can really exist on their own. The artwork only really exists when the two of them are side by side. And you can have diptychs, you can have triptychs, maybe you can have quad tips, ticks, cinquintips. I don't know how far it goes, but diptychs and triptychs are super common in religious iconography. In the late Middle Ages and even into the High Renaissance, they were a favored way for masters to depict all the key characters of religious stories. And along with that, gold leaf was a favored material to attempt to elevate that religious imagery beyond the realm of mortals. The luminosity of the gold leaf was thought to impart godliness into the work. Anyways, sorry to art history nerd out about that, but I'm kind of thinking of this astrological diptych where the two counterparts are missing their other half, and thus the composition, aka the sketchbook spread, is only complete when they're together. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, wow, Jasmine, what a lovely concept and sketch, well, let me temper your expectation, because about where I'm introducing this acrylic paint is where things start to go downhill. First off, if you cannot already tell, this paint is not very good. I dug this up from my material bin. It's probably about a decade old, and the paint has definitely started to separate, and it's clearly past its prime because I'm getting very little opacity. Now, the right way I should be doing this is applying a good solid coat of red paint and then applying a gold leaf sizing, which will allow the gold leaf to adhere to it. But I already purchased gold leaf for this video and I didn't want to get the sizing as well, so moral of the story, use shitty materials and you'll get shitty results. This is the part I'm extremely nervous about, but theoretically, while this red paint is still wet, if I put gold leaf on it, you know, this is tacky and it will want to stick to it. Oops, shit. Oh my god. Things are going really well. Now, I'm gonna speed through this part because my narration got a little bit worse as my amygdala entered fight or flight mode, but basically it was different variations of oh heck, oh frick, oh no, what's going on, uh-oh. Oh my gosh, this is a mess. It's a mess and a half, honey. This is the point in the sketchbook spread where I'm starting to feel a little bit like a prey animal that is being hunted, and I'm sort of just laying down and accepting my fate. We've all been there, right? Soft brush to kind of tap this in. You know what's also so funny? I did not watch any kind of tutorial about how to gold leaf. I am just having the audacity to believe that I have some kind of idea what I'm doing, and clearly that was not the correct way to approach this. I'm gonna let this dry, and once I feel it's dry enough, I'm gonna brush away the remaining gold leaf, and then I'll probably just do a second layer wherever it didn't take. But yeah. Sorry for all the time lapses here, y'all. I was reaching a point of frustration where I was just kind of over it and I didn't want to try to deal with all these different angles for filming. So here I'm just doing a second coat of the gold leaf to try to deal with the patchiness, and I'm trying to redefine the lines, although the marker is not really wanting to stick to the gold leaf. And I found all these magazines and like Christmas books at the thrift store, so right now I'm just going through and cutting out things that I thought would be a little bit interesting and match the color palette I'm going for, and also maybe work with the imagery. And here you can see me fitting those pieces into this godforsaken sketchbook spread. I'm trying to lean into like earthiness for the Capricorn and watery aqua type of escapes for the Pisces side of this. And this is where I'm bringing in the Gustav Klimt inspiration, or Klimtifying it. I'm cutting out all these little rectangles of collage and then just using a gold marker to give a little bit of contrast from the actual gold leaf. And then as a last-ditch effort to try to make this overall sketchbook spread a little bit cleaner and make these two pieces of the diptych feel like they're part of a whole, I found this really cool, almost paisley pattern in one of the old Christmas books that I found at the thrift store. So I thought I could use this to try to give these images a frame and make them feel a little bit more polished, I guess. And I'm just adding these clippings of the Magi and Mother to give a little bit more mysticism. But yeah, let me know what you think of this wonky spread. All right, it is the next day. Yesterday was a little bit of a struggle for me. I'm hoping that today's drawing goes a little bit more smoothly. I got a suggestion from K. Ray Paints, who's also just, by the way, a really amazing small creator here on YouTube. I really love the videos she makes, so definitely go check her out after this. But she suggested wait, I have to think about this for a second. What was it? It was a warrior princess bow hunter on horseback. I hope I got that right. I'll double check later. But I want to take it in sort of like a sci-fi direction, which is not something I'm very familiar with drawing. But anyways, let's get into it. Wait, let me try a cool transition. All right, here we go. By the way, I am using this reference for this sketch. I often find it really helpful to use a reference, especially when I'm dealing with a subject matter that I'm not as familiar with. However, I always try to take that reference as a jumping off point and then transform it into something that is completely my own. So you'll see that by the end of this drawing, the sketch that I make is basically completely unrecognizable compared to the original reference. You'll have to forgive me if I'm about to get onto a soapbox, but I think this is really important when drawing from a reference because you draw from different parts of your brain when drawing from observation or a reference versus drawing from imagination. And if you have spent any amount of time on the internet, you have heard about the importance of drawing from imagination. So, not to be a cybertronic horse, but consistently drawing from imagination does help you unlock the key to being able to imagine whatever you want and then transfer it to paper. So the way I see it, you get the best of both worlds when you draw from reference or observation if you have a horse and a bow and arrow archer princess in front of you, but use that observational drawing and then use your creative mind to transform it into something out of this world. So even though my reference is of an Iranian world champion horseback archer, I'm choosing to instead transform it into a galactic warrior princess goddess fighting her cybertronic enemies in space. Now, if you have seen any of my drawing process videos, you may know that these damn Prismacolor pencils have a chokehold on my artistic process. I just cannot resist them. I don't know why. They're my comfort zone, and I find that anytime I'm trying to finish a drawing, it's what I reach for. But I'm using these colored pencils to try to deepen the shadows and bring out some of the highlights. It's probably not the best material for this purpose, but it is what I have. Although I will say I finally bit the bullet and ordered a starter set of acrylic markers, and I cannot wait to use them. So in my next video, you might see me doing that instead, but at the point of drawing this, I did just have the colored pencils. So that's what I'm working with. Okay, it is the next day yet again, and I feel like everything I've attempted in my sketchbook so far has been a failure. Quick editor note, I don't know what I was talking about in that clip because now that I'm going through the footage, I actually really like that cybertronic warrior princess horse goddess diva moment, so I don't think I had the appreciation for it that it deserved. And I just wanted to correct what I was saying here. So I'm gonna give myself one last shot and try to redo the bird drawing. Fingers crossed. I really want something that I feel okay about in this week's sketch. Okay, let's talk about birds. What is your favorite type of bird? They are a type of animal that has so much cultural symbolism tied to them, and throughout history, so many societies have venerated and appreciated them. But, and I'm about to get on a rant here, y'all, I feel like they are woefully underappreciated and underrespected in modern times. Aside from a few specific species that stand out and maintain that cultural significance, there are so many birds that go disregarded and undercared for. First example, I think about carrier pigeons that are actually domesticated. Where I live in the United States, they were brought from Europe and domesticated until they no longer served a purpose for us, and then we basically abandoned them. So every time I walk around the city I live in and I see these poor, hungry pigeons all over the place, my heart breaks. Another thing, where I live, which is again a major city full of high-rises with glass facades, thousands and thousands of migratory birds die from impact on that glass every year because they cannot see the difference between that and the sky around them because it's so reflective. And also in the same city that I live in, we are supposed to have a protected bird sanctuary where those same migratory birds can safely lay their eggs and breed and nest and propagate their own species. And it's roped off, you're not supposed to go in there. But every time I go over to that damn bird sanctuary, I see people stomping all around in this protected area, and we just have such a disrespect for birds. And baby, come on. All I'm saying is have some respect for your ancestors. Birds do not just predate us. They are not just related to dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs. So show some respect for those creatures that came before us. And always remind yourself that the world is a cruel place for small things. Show a little kindness and tenderness for the life forms around you. We are not the masters of this world. We are merely the temporary stewards. And that's my 2 cents. So anyways, sorry for the rant. The whole time I was trying to record that, there was airplanes flying above head. And don't even get me started on the airplane engines, okay? Oh my gosh, I was ranting so hard that I've neglected talking at all about this drawing, but these are scarlet ibises? Ibises? I'm not sure the plural of that, but they are such a beautiful red bird, and I did use a reference here, but I actually really enjoyed this watercolor. Let me know what you think about it, because I was really happy with it. Now, I did want to ask y'all a really quick question. I'm playing with the way that I approach this series. In the past, I was just doing one sketchbook spread per video and trying to mash all of the ideas into that one page. Obviously, with this week, I'm trying out taking those ideas and spreading them across multiple sketchbook spreads, and my goal is making an interesting video for y'all to watch. So in my head, I'm thinking that more variation in what I'm actually drawing leads to a more interesting video. But let me know if you like that. I'm also kind of playing with the idea of adding just my own sketches into the sketchbook throughout the week. I think I've only ever officially filled one sketchbook in my life, and I just really want to fill this sketchbook. Let me know in the comments, would you be into seeing some of my personal sketches integrated into this series, or do you want it to just be suggestions? Either way, I'm happy to try my best to accommodate, but I would love to hear what you have to say about it. So here we have our 2 bird drawings. And we also have our Capricorn and Pisces lover in Gustav Klimt style with gold leaf and collage. and also our archer princess on horseback. Well, y'all, this was an interesting week. I have to say, very experimental, which I can't be too mad at because it's stuff that I have not really done before. Oh no, my collage is coming up a little bit. But what do you think? I feel like this one was a really fun concept. I could see this one being like turned into a more finished drawing. I have to say though, the standout surprise for me, I really loved the watercolor. As soon as I finished this, I went and ordered some actual watercolor brushes with, you know, the water reservoir to make watercolor maybe a little bit more seamless. I did actually also order some gold leaf sizing, so if I attempt gold leaf again in the future, I will be more prepared and hopefully it goes better next time. But I think I'm kind of rambling here. I'm trying to not script anything this week, and we'll see how that goes. I really want to get more comfortable just talking in front of the camera. And that is a and that is a skill that I need to get better at. But anyways, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see you soon, but that's all for now. Mwah.